Just 1, 2, 1, 2. What's up? What's up? Can we acknowledge ourselves first?
Yes, we can.
Can we do that? I always call it the warm-up acknowledgement. Now the real one?
Yeah.
Welcome to A Course in Miracles. And it's called A Course in Miracles because it says that we see things correctly, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
There you go. So that's why it's called A Course in Miracles. I guess it's a miracle if you all see things with love all the time, with peace all the time, with sanity all the time. And I tell you, I cannot tell you how thankful I am for the opportunity that we have to come together.
Me too.
And I'm so happy that you're here. I also want to welcome our brothers and sisters who are watching online. Let's acknowledge them.
Yeah.
Myrna and Talisha and CJ and Marion, and we got a lot of cool people that's watching online. We usually have several hundred people that are watching us live whenever we do this. And it sends a lot of good energy that I feel when I'm up here, as well as the great energy that you share. And I want to encourage you to take advantage of the opportunity to come together with some people who are either insane and want to be sane, or who are sane. So that's what we got in the room. We got some people that either you want to be sane about some areas in your life right now that you know you are not, and then there's some areas that you are totally sane, and we're here to share the love. So I'd like you to experience this class more, not as an intellectual, analytical exercise. That's not really what I'm really up here for. I really want us to experience the love. I want us to experience the oneness. I want us to make this something that we use to take with us all the rest of the week, so that we think about each other and remember each other. And I would like to invite you also to give what you would like to receive. Treat me the way you'd like to be treated if you were standing in front of a class sharing information that's terrifying. Treat me the way you'd like to be treated if you were saying stuff that sometimes people want to hear and they don't want to hear at all. You know? But I'd like to start out by saying I want you to say, I am willing to not have to necessarily believe this.
I'm willing to not necessarily have to believe it.
I'm willing to not have to necessarily accept this or welcome it.
I'm willing to not necessarily accept this or welcome it.
It's okay that some of the stuff is going to be hard to believe.
It's okay that some stuff is going to be hard to believe.
And it's going to be quite startling.
It will be startling.
As much as I love to do it, I'm not being asked to judge at all.
As much as I love to do it,
Yeah. And also, it's the use of the ideas. I'm willing to accept that it's the use of the ideas.
I'm willing to accept that it's the use of the ideas.
That will give the ideas meaning to me.
That will give the ideas meaning to me.
And show me that the ideas are true.
Oh, please.
Those of you online, I would love it if you would send me lots of hearts during the broadcast. Y'all able to send these hearts. I love to see these floods of hearts going across when I'm monitoring it, because it increases the reach of the broadcast the more activity it generates. So if people are liking and sharing it and commenting, then Facebook includes more and more people in the broadcast. So when you rewatch it, if you rewatch it later, be sure to share it or comment on it, so that we can get more and more about, as of course we call it, our mighty companions. I like that. We are mighty companions. That's a really good thought. So the thought that I'd like to bring into this, Nancy, thank you for watching. Doug, thank you for watching. Elizabeth, okay, and Marion. Okay, so I want to acknowledge people, because I want y'all to interact with each other. Deborah, I want you to interact with each other online. So it's like a party going on online while we're doing it in here. Y'all be amazed at what they're saying to each other. So our thought for today is I am not the victim of the world I see. It's not the lesson I'm covering, but that's the thought I'd like to start out this class with today. What?
I am not the victim of the world I see.
You got to put a little juice, a little funk, a little rhythm into it so that you can remember it.
I am not the victim of the world I see.
I am not the victim of the world I see. I am not the victim of the world I see. I am not the victim of the world I see. I'm not the victim of the world I see. I'm not the victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Can I get some fun out there? I'm not a victim of my mom. I'm not a victim of my power. I'm not a victim of the circumstance at all. I'm not a victim. Tell yourself of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me. I'm not a victim of the future, not a victim of the past, not a victim of anything that really doesn't last. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me. Woo! I'm not a victim, I'm a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Breathe. You're so funky, but you gotta remember that you are a creator. You are the creator. You are the creator of the world that you see. You're not a victim. You are the creator of the world you see. You are the creator of the world you see. What's happening in your love life is what you've done to you. Yeah. Sing it, John. I'm not a victim of the North. I'm not a victim of the South. Not a victim of anything but what comes out my mouth. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me. I'm not a victim of, shout it out somebody. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm going to claim my power. I'm going to claim my power. You are ultimately entitled to miracles. You can experience miracles in your life. You're not a victim. No matter what happened in your childhood, of the world you see, of the world you see. Because the good stuff that's happening now is what I've done to me. That's just as true of the good stuff, right? I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me. Oh yeah. That was Christmas from his CD that's called Dream Home. I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. And we have to warm our energies up. We got to warm our energy up. I need not believe the ideas. Who knows the words? Believe the ideas. I need not
the ideas.
That's the workbook, get the guidelines.
I need none except the ideas. I need none except the ideas. I need none except the ideas.
What?
And none of this will matter. None of this will matter.
Yes, yes.
None of this will matter. No. Because they will give it meaning and show me that the ideas are true.
Is that right?
That's right.
Is that right? Is that right? Is that right?
Show me the ideas.
I need none. Welcome the ideas. I need none. Welcome the ideas. I need none. Welcome the ideas. Some of these ideas I'm gonna actively resist. Some of these ideas I'm gonna actively resist. Some of these ideas I'm gonna actively resist. And what? None of this will matter. None of this will matter.
Talk to me, talk to me.
And none of this will matter. No! Because the use will give it meaning. I say the use will give it meaning and show me that the ideas are true. Show me that the ideas are true. Come on and show me.
Tell Spirit.
That the ideas are true. Come on and show me. That the ideas are true. Come on and show me.
Yeah.
That the ideas are true. Come on and show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit.
Now this class today is going to be the class you give yourself. And how much joy you have in it is dependent on how much you give. Right? It's not on me. I don't see it as my responsibility to get everybody's energy up. But I do see it as our responsibility to share some love and some light with each other. Is that right? Don't you want to give instead of get? Don't you want to give sometimes instead of getting? So let's give, let's share with each other. Because some of these ideas are going to seem quite startling. Some of these ideas are going to seem quite startling. I am not asked to judge the ideas at all. I am not asked to judge the ideas at all. I am not asked to judge the ideas at all. And none of this will matter. Doesn't matter, y'all. I say none of this will matter. None of this will matter, no. Because the use will give it meaning. I say the use will give it meaning and show me that the ideas are true. Ideas are true, come on and show me. Spirit, the ideas are true, come on and show me. Spirit, the ideas are true, come on and show me. Show me that the ideas are true, come on and show me. The ideas are true, Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Oh yeah, show me that the ideas are true. Oh, show me that the ideas are true. I need to see that the ideas are true. I do the bad, don't you?
Yes.
We're going to be on something that you all excel at today, which is trust. I have a section that I cover from time to time because I think it's essential to the Course in Miracles teaching. What's up, Lois? Dharma? What's up? It's good to see you online. So under the Development of Trust in the Teacher's Manual, page 10, there's some loaner copies up here in case anybody wants to follow along in the book that you're welcome to borrow. Please leave them. Okay. Lee, thank you for coming online. So I'm going to tell you from Course in Miracles perspective what you do, what you go through when you're developing trust. Does anybody need to develop more trust in any area that's going on? So this is relevant.
Yes.
Okay. All right. The first thing you must go through when you say you're ready to develop trust in God, truth, faith, the universe, and spirit, that's what we're talking about, is you're going to go through a period of undoing. You're going to go through a period of undoing. The first period you're going to go through is a period of undoing. So the first thing that's going to happen when you're developing trust is you're going to have a period. And it's going to be called a period of undoing. It doesn't have to be painful. The period of undoing doesn't have to be painful, but it's usually experienced as painful. It doesn't have to be painful, but the period of undoing is usually experienced as painful. The reason why the period of undoing seems to be painful, would you like to know why the period of undoing seems to be painful? It seems to be painful because it seems as if things are being taken away. So when you're going through the period of undoing, which is the first stage in developing trust, it's going to look like things are being taken away. Because it's rarely understood initially that things aren't really being taken away, just the lack of value of something is being recognized. So the more that you begin to wake up to your spiritual identity, the more you're going to recognize what's not valuable. What's not valuable. And how can the lack of value of something be perceived unless you're in a position where you can see things in a different light and in a new way? So I'm going to learn how to see things differently. I want to develop trust. I'm going to go through a period of undoing. It doesn't have to be painful, but I usually will experience it as painful because I'm beginning to recognize that a lot of things that I value aren't really valuable. And so the reason why I'm beginning to wake up is because I'm finally beginning to see things in a new way. So you might not be at the point where you can make the shift entirely internally. You may not be at the point yet that you can totally change yourself internally. You may not be at the point yet that you've internally changed yourself enough to have trust and in the undoing. This is really deep, y'all. I want you to think about what I'm saying, because what happens is when you don't let yourself hear what the Course in Miracles is saying, and you start to go through these stages, you freak them out.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, because you forgot, Earl, you forgot what I told you that you're going to go through as you begin to develop trust. And so you get fooled by the stages that you're going through and take yourself through a lot of pain unnecessarily because you didn't allow yourself to hear what I told you, Earl, about what you're going to go through as you reach me. Okay? So that means that if you are not at the point where you can change your mind, where you can really change on the inside, then the Course says the plan for your life will sometimes call for changes in what seems to be your external circumstances. So if you don't change on the inside, you're going to have some stuff that seems to happen on the outside that's going to get you to change. When you don't voluntarily change from within, you're going to have physical situations and circumstances that are going to bring about the internal shift, which I don't prefer. Personally, I would rather to just go ahead and change on the inside rather than look like I'm creating all kinds of crap to make me change from the outside. Me personally. Okay, now these changes are always helpful. So all the changes that you're going through right now in your life externally, all those changes are helpful. Everything you're going through right now in your life is helpful. Everything that you're going through right now in your life is helpful. Every situation that you're going through right now is helpful. Every circumstance that you are experiencing right now is helpful. Everything you're going through right now is helpful. Every single solitary experience that you're having in your external life right now is helping you. Everything that's happening in your life right now is helping you. When you learn that much, then you're ready to go to the next stage. So how do I know when I'm ready to go? How do I know when I'm ready to go? How do I know when I'm ready to go? How do I know when I'm ready to go? How do I know when I'm ready to go to the next stage? I'll be saying, Earl, what you've been going through your life, what you've been going through in your life lately, all of it's helping you. You need not believe the ideas. Some of these ideas are going to be hard to believe. And some of it's going to be... You trying to tell me that what I went through last week was actually helpful? Everything you went through last week was helpful. Now, when will you go to the next stage? When you learn that. So it becomes something like this. I went through something that was tremendously helpful. Last week I got laid off. I went through something that was tremendously helpful last week. My relationship broke up. I went through something that was tremendously helpful last week. I had a car accident. I went through something that was tremendously helpful last week. I had one of the most beautiful days I've ever had in my life, hanging out in the park with friends. I had something happen last week that was really, really helpful. I went to a party last night that was full of love. I had something helpful that happened last week. I had diarrhea. I had something happen really helpful last week. I had a colonoscopy. Very intimate. When you learn to say everything that's happening to you is somehow helpful to you, even if you don't recognize how it's helpful to you, then you're ready to go to the next stage of developing trust. Because if you think about it, it's symbolic of having trust just to say everything that's happened has been helpful. That in itself is exemplifying trust. I'm trusting that what I just went through was helpful. Didn't say you would necessarily see it that way. It just said that's what it is. See the difference? See, the truth isn't concerned about your beliefs. The truth isn't concerned about your perception, and the truth isn't concerned about whether or not you accept it or believe it or not. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you I'm Earl Purdy, that's a fact. Whether you believe it or not, like it, agree with it, means nothing. So there's nothing about our opinions. There's nothing about our opinions that matter to the truth at all.
Imagine that.
Yeah. There's nothing about your opinions that facts care about at all. Okay. Now, my opinion is it was very painful if I went through a relationship that seemed like it broke up last week. That's my belief, that's my perception, that's my opinion. The fact is it was helpful.
Yeah.
That's the fact, even though you may not think so.
Yeah.
So, if you learn that much, you go to the next stage. So, who can tell me what it is? It says, my house burned down last year. Truthfully helpful. Ha, ha, ha. That's what I just saw. What somebody just said. Yes, it was helpful that your house burned down, and you may not feel that way. You don't see how that figured out in the scheme of things. It could mean that you make some kind of a spiritual realization or consciousness realization or recognize something about yourself that changes your whole life. You know, like when I had that apartment fire that I had last year. The benefit of that was that it increased my faith in God at a level beyond anything I could possibly describe to you. Because I had a total witness that God was real. So I don't really care anymore what anybody else believes. It's almost funny when I listen to people debate back and forth about, is there a creator, is there not a creator, is God real? It's like, you think God cares? You really think God cares whether or not you believe in God? Do you think the existence of God has anything to do with your belief?
No. No, thank God.
Thank God. So how was that meaningful for me? Because I was on the way to take a shower to come to do my class, and I was walking toward the shower, and I heard a voice as clearly as I hear the one that's talking right now that said, listen. And it stopped me in my tracks. And I stopped, and I listened, and I heard a crackling noise, and I opened up my blinds, and my balcony was on fire. If God had not have stopped me, I would have gone into the bathroom, into the shower, the fire would have spread into my apartment, and I would have been trapped because of where my bathroom was located, and I could have possibly been burned alive. something said to me, listen. And the book has been saying that as long as I've been studying it, that the voice of the Holy Spirit will speak to you, that God will speak to you. The reason why you don't ever hear the voice of God, Earl, is because you're too busy listening to yourself. That's what the book says. You don't hear the voice of God because you're too busy listening to your thoughts. So it said, listen. And I listened, and it saved my life.
Yeah.
You know, God is real. The Creator is real. You didn't create yourself, Earl. Notice I keep saying Earl. Because these classes are for me as much as they are for you. And I want to get, and one of the ways for me to stay out of my ego is to realize I'm as much a learner as you are. That we're totally equal as learners. I've been doing it longer, so I'm much more likely to go ahead and do what it says. Where if you knew, you'd be busy analyzing it probably and trying to decide whether or not what you're hearing is credible or not. So that'll slow you down. That's okay. That's okay. So the next stage you must go through is a period of sorting out, undoing, sorting out, undoing, sorting out, undoing, sorting out. Now, sorting out is somewhat difficult. It's always somewhat difficult because having learned that all the changes in your life are helpful, you finally learned that all the changes in your life are helpful. Now you have to decide everything on the basis of whether what you're doing is increasing the helpfulness in your life or what you're doing is hampering the helpfulness in your life. So sorting out is something like this. Is this relationship helpful to me? Is this relationship delaying me? Is this situation helpful to me? Is this situation delaying me? Is this circumstance helpful to me? Is this helpful to me? Is this hampering me? That's how you sort out. Now, my goal is to know that I'm loved, and love is the only thing that is, and my goal is peace. I'm with somebody that we're constantly arguing and in opposition with each other all the time. Is this helpful to me? Is this hampering me? It's hampering me. I have a thought system right now that's saying that somebody's doing something to me and I'm a victim of somebody. Let me sort things out. Is that thought helpful to me? Is that thought hampering me?
Hampering.
All right, I'm believing that somehow or another that I can't be successful in what I do because I'm a black man in America. Is that a helpful thought to me? Is that hampering to me? So you're going to sort out everything. Notice it didn't say right or wrong, good or bad. It said you sort things out based on is it helpful. Now how can you tell whether or not it's helpful? Well, in order to be able to tell if something's helpful, you have to have a goal. Because you can't evaluate anything if you don't have a goal. So if you're walking around and you have no goals and no purposes, you're going to be a person that things just happen to all the time. If you're a person who has goals and purposes, nothing just happens to you. If my goal is love and peace, and I'm always in a relationship that we're constantly fighting with each other, then I know it's hampering me in terms of my goal. Without the goal, I couldn't tell you if it was hampering me. So first you have to have a goal and a purpose, then you can evaluate things. Without a purpose, you can't evaluate things. That's why if somebody wants to be in a relationship with you, you go, what for? You want to go out with me? What for? You want to spend time with me? What for? I always ask, what for? You want my phone number? What for? How often have you done that in your life? Have you asked them what for? They're good. They're good. Saves you time. I know. Especially people being attracted to you. You know. They say they're attracted to your body. They think you look cute, and then they walk up and you go, "What you attracted me? What for? What you want?" They know. They go to stuttering. They tell you everything. No. You just walk up. You had something in mind. What was it? Who knows? You might get lucky. Just tell me. I might feel the same way you feel. You know? Sometimes I found that the most radical thing since practicing the Course in Miracles, one of the easiest ways to have what I want the quickest is to ask. You know, rather than trying to just be direct. Ask. You know? Then the Course in Miracles says, you will find that many, if not most of the things you valued before will merely hinder your ability to transfer what you've learned to new situations as they arise. What does that mean? Well, because you value what's really valueless, you won't generalize your lessons for fear of loss and sacrifice. What does that mean? It means that I won't apply the truth to everything in my life equally because there are some areas of my life I think if I practice the truth, I lose. If the truth says love is freedom, then I don't want to practice the truth in my relationships because it looks like I might lose if the person has a lot of freedom. So that's what it means when it says that you're going to find that many things hinder your ability to transfer what you've learned to every situation. I've heard that giving is how I receive, okay? But I'm not going to do that with my money.
Right, sure.
Because then I'm going to, you see what I'm saying? That's what he's saying. You're going to find that the truth is, you don't want to apply the truth to every situation. You might say, I'm responsible for what I see, I create my reality, except at work.
Right, sure.
See, again, we don't apply the truth to everything. So then the Course in Miracles says, this is always somewhat difficult because having learned that the changes in your life are always helpful, like it says what? You must decide all things on the basis of whether it increases their helpfulness or hampers their helpfulness. And you're going to find that many, if not most of the things that you value keep you from applying the truth to every situation as it comes up. It's hard for me to say, the truth is that fire was neutral. That fire was as neutral as me going to a movie. It was an event that happened in time. And that's all I've experienced since the day I've been born. Events that happen in time. But it's my meaning that makes the fire different from the movie. Both of them are neutral. They're events that happened. So I'm tempted to not to want to see the fire as just equal to a movie. I don't want to apply that was helpful and it was also equal to everything else in my life. So that may be a place where I'm tempted not to practice the truth. Where are you tempted not to practice the truth in your life? Where is it that you see yourself as a victim? Where is it that you see yourself as going through something because of what somebody else is doing to you or something outside of yourself? Wherever that area is, that's the area that you are not applying the truth. Okay? So it's only the extent that it takes great learning to understand what? All things, all events, all encounters, and all circumstances are helpful. All things are helpful, all events are helpful, all encounters are helpful, and all circumstances are helpful. All things are helpful, all events are helpful. Having Donald Trump as our president is helpful. Down, natives, down. That's right. See, that's an example of wanting to exclude something from the truth. All events are helpful. All encounters are helpful. You turn that person that robbed me, that was helpful. I got married. That was helpful. I got divorced. That was more helpful. Oh, God, marriage. That was fun. Okay. Yeah. Marriage is cool when you see it correctly.
Yeah, that's right.
Marriage is a cool thing when you see it correctly and you practice the truth in it. Being single is awesome if you see it correctly and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Being single can be crap if you see it incorrectly.
Sure.
And same thing. See, being in a marriage can be crap and unhappy if you're not seeing it correctly. It in and of itself is neutral. It's going to be what you make of it. And I always tell people, why don't you define your own marriage? Why don't you define what marriage means for you and your partner define, or in any relationship? Why don't you all sit down and define what it is that are going to be the rules that you use in your relationship? And then turn around and go, let's have a plan for how we're going to deal with it when our insanity comes up and we're misperceiving each other. And you can tell because I'm holding you out the window on the 13th floor. Might be we have some issues. So, how are we going to deal with that? Happens like when you were in school, they had a fire drill. What was the purpose of the fire drill? So that you know what happened when something happened and the building was on fire. People don't do that in their relationships. They don't go, okay, let's have a game plan. We know our ego is going to come up. Sometimes we're going to misperceive each other. What are we going to do when that happens? Right. Do it ahead of time. So the Course then says that it's only to the extent that all these events are helpful that any degree of reality should be according to these events in this world of illusion. The word value can apply to nothing else but what is helpful to you. Everything is only as valuable as it helps you.
We say that again.
Anything is only as valuable as it's helpful to you. If it's not helpful to you in terms of your goal, it has no value. Okay? Now, the third stage that you're going to go through is going to be called a period of relinquishment. So the first stage is what? Undoing. Second stage is what? Sorting out. Third stage is what? A period of letting go. Because, you know, if I've sorted out what's helpful and what's not, then I need to let go of what's not valuable. And the Course says that this is interpreted as giving up the desirable. If you think that I'm asking you to give up the desirable, then relinquishment is going to engender enormous conflict. If you think I'm asking you to give up something that you really want, then when you hear me say relinquishment, you're going to go through a lot of conflict, and few teachers of God escape this distress entirely. Notice it said, you're going to go through the period of undoing. Doesn't have to be painful, usually is. Then it turns around and says, you're going to go through a period of relinquishment. This doesn't have to be a problem either, but few people escape this distress. There is, however, no point in sorting out what's valuable from what's not valuable unless the next obvious step is taken. What's the next obvious step? Letting go of what's not valuable. What's the point of sorting out what's valuable and what's not unless you let go of what's not valuable? Therefore, the period of overlap is apt to be a period in which you feel like you're being called upon to sacrifice your own best interests. You're going to think, all the conversation is kind of distracting me. Let me go back. Om Namani Mari Shivaya, Om Namani Mari Shivaya. Okay. The period of overlap is apt to be a period in which the teacher of God feels called upon to sacrifice their own best interests on behalf of truth. In other words, you're going to think in this stage that somehow or another the truth is asking you to give up something that you really want to keep. Like a lot of times when people study the truth, they think it's asking them to give up their desire for money, or give up their desire for a relationship, or give up their desire, their material desires, or they give up their sexual desires, or give up their emotional desires. The Course in Miracles says to us that we haven't realized as yet how totally impossible a demand would be of the Holy Spirit, of your higher self, to give up anything that's really for your own best interest. Nothing that loves you is going to ever ask you to give up something that benefits you. Nobody that loves you is going to ever ask you to give up anybody that benefits you. If I ever entered a relationship with anybody that told me I had to let go of my relationship with other people in order to have a relationship with them, they're the one that's out the door. I would not tolerate that for one single second. Nobody who loves me would tell me to turn my back on other people who love me. Amen. And I love them. That's crap. So therefore, you can't be around anybody but me. If you love me, then that's the cruelest request you could ever make. Why should I want to be only around you for the rest of my life? And you've already shown me you're unconscious because you're telling me to turn my back on those I love. So I already know I'm going to be spending my time with someone enormously selfish. That's not going to be a whole lot of fun. And scared. And insecure. Doesn't sound like fun to me.
No.
Unless you super duper wealthy and you take me around the world and show me a good time in Paris. But we'll work with your issues. But we'll do it on the Riviera. Let's go to Hawaii and work on your jealousy. It's like when you start to love yourself, you absolutely cannot believe the kind of relationships that you created for yourself in the past, and that you tolerated, and that you thought something was wrong with you, and that you thought you needed to change yourself in order to please a person who did not have the slightest idea of how to love you and did not love you at all. And you go, my God, I was asleep. I was totally asleep. And then you have to forgive yourself. Right? Because you created that. You're the one who gave them your phone number. Okay. Now, so this is what happens when you really give up something that's not really valuable. When you really give up something that's not actually valuable, you're going to learn that where you anticipated grief, you're going to find a happy lightheartedness. Yeah. You're going to find that where you thought something was being asked of you, you're going to find you receive a gift. No. So when God or truth asks you to let go of something, whatever you let go of is going to be replaced by something better. So that once you start moving towards your spiritual growth and development, you can't have a relationship that's not replaced by a better one in your perception. You wouldn't have a job that's not replaced by a better one in your perception. When you're moving towards the truth, whatever it looks like you're losing, what it returns is better than the thing that you thought you lost. That's how you can tell. I haven't had a relationship that wasn't better than the previous one. Now that I've started to practice the truth. Now, when I wasn't practicing the truth, it got progressively worse. Why? Because I was putting more and more pressure on myself to change. But I call it God was banging on my hood. Right? First you got to get a feeling, this is the right thing for me. And then you start to, first you think this is the right thing for me. Then you start to feel, this doesn't feel like the right thing for me. And then you start to have physical conditions start to show you this is not the right thing for me. So if you keep on going in a direction that's not the right direction, you increase the pressure to get you to change. Because remember what it said? That if you want change on the inside, you're going to have external situations. But even if it looks like it gets progressively worse, it's still helpful.
Yes.
It's helpful because it's going to get you to change your mind. That's what's helpful about it. Because you deserve more happiness than you ever give yourself.
Yes.
You deserve more love than you've been giving yourself. The Course in Miracles definition of little is anything you think of. He says we don't think big enough. We don't think highly enough. So our highest desire for us is pitiful compared to what you deserve to have. That's awesome. So then the Course in Miracles says, now you begin to see the transfer value of what you've learned. Now you see where you start to consolidate your learning. So next you're going to go through a period of what? Settling down. First stage is undoing. Second stage is sorting out. Third stage is relinquishment. Fourth stage is settling down. Now when you settle down, this is a quiet time. What's a quiet time? You begin to rest in reasonable peace. Why? Because now you are beginning to see the transfer value of what you've learned. What does that mean? I'm quiet now, I'm having more peace now, because now I see how I can apply what the Course is teaching to every area of my life. If I'm giving everything I see all the meaning that it has for me, then I'm giving anything in my life all the meaning that it has for me. If I'm the one that's determining my feelings by the way I interpret things, then I could give myself joy in every area of my life, because in every area of my life, I'm the one that's determining how I see it. So I'm going to rest because all of a sudden I see that I could apply the truth beautifully to every area of my life, and I could potentially have peace in every area of my life.
Right now.
I always like to come up with desires that don't call for anybody else's cooperation. I pretty much always have my happiness in what I want, but I make nothing about my happiness depending on anybody else agreeing with me or cooperating with me. And so that's what an internally directed life is like. You know your happiness is generated from within, so therefore you give everybody a break because they're not responsible for your happiness anymore, so you have no more grievances because you don't think they're determining what you're going through. End of grievances. Expectations are the expectation is the mother of grievances. Expectation is the mother of grievances. All of your grievances are coming from your scripts and your expectations. So the Course in Miracles says all of a sudden you see where you can use this everywhere. Its potential is literally staggering. And you as a teacher of God, you are now at the point in your progress in which you see in it your whole way out. I finally see my whole way out of fear. I see my whole way out of pain. What? Give up what you do not want and keep what you do. Give up what you do not want and keep what you do. Give up what you do not want and keep what you do. Give up what you do not want and keep what you do. Give up who you do not want and keep who you do. Give up what you do not want and keep who you do. Now, does that seem like a challenge? Not really when you think about it. It's really cool. It's saying, give up what you don't want. Well, you know, like you don't go to the garbage can and have a ritual over the trash you're throwing away. You know what I'm saying? You don't go to therapy because you went to the dumpster. You know what I'm saying? You're giving up what you don't want. So that's no problem. And if you're keeping what you do want, there is no problem. So you're not ready to let that relationship go yet? Keep it. You're not ready to let that marriage go yet? Keep it. You're not ready to let that job go yet? Keep it. Anything you're pondering about, should I let it go? Should I not let it go? Keep it. You're not ready to let it go. If you were ready to let it go, you'd be letting it go. When it was time, when I learned all I could in the marriage that I was in many moons ago, then I did not care whether the person had the house, the car, the furniture. When you really have had enough and it's time for you to make a move, you do not hassle over things that can be recreated very easily again. But if you hustling over the cat and the dog and the furniture and the car, you don't want to go. You haven't reached your limit yet. When you reach your limit, your freedom and your happiness will mean more to you than any material thing in the world. And if it doesn't, your value sunk. What's the point of being in a beautiful house if you're in that beautiful house with someone you're making yourself miserable with? What is the point? What's the point of riding around in the car that you tripping out every month that you can't pay the car note? What's the point? As you wake up spiritually, content becomes more important to you than form.
That's right.
What you feel inside of something becomes more important to you than the thing you're inside of. I'd rather be in a small house happy than to be in a large house miserable. But I can be in a large house happy. So I'm not advocating that poverty is spirituality. I'm saying that the house is neutral, whether it's a big one or a little one. You know what I'm saying? So the Course in Miracles says, what is it? Give up what you do not want, keep what you do. How do you know you still want it? You're constantly in conflict about letting it go. Then it goes on to say, and the word is how easy to do. How easy to do. So now you need this period of respite. You haven't come as far as you think yet. When you're ready to go on, I love this line. When you're ready to go on, you haven't come as far as you think, but when you're ready to go on, you're going to do what? You're going to go with mighty companions beside you. When you keep what you do on, they go with what you do on. When you keep what you do on, they go with what you don't want. The next stage, you're going to find, all of a sudden, I'm not alone in this. Notice, there was a point on my spiritual path that I thought I was the only one that was weird. And then you came along. And I found out I'm not alone in my great, wonderful, beautiful weirdness.
No, you are not.
I'm not. Because I gave up what I didn't want, which was the old way of looking at things that caused me pain. And I kept what I did want and what I do want, which is the new thought system that the Course in Miracles of Love is giving me. So to really be happy, you're going to have to give up the old way of thinking and embrace the new way of thinking. So then the Course in Miracles says, now that you rest a while, and you do what? You gather your mighty companions before going on. Basically, it's saying you won't go on from here alone. You will never go on from this point on your spiritual path. You will never have to go on alone. The next stage is indeed a period of unsettling. Wait a minute. First stage is what? Undoing. Second stage is what? Sorting out. Third stage? Relinquishment. Fourth stage?
Settling down.
Okay, and the next stage is what? A period of unsettling. Let's say, notice that the period of unsettling came after you got your mighty companions. Yeah. Yeah, if I'm half crazy and lost my mind with fear and upset, I'm certainly glad that I have supported people around me to help me see it another way. I won't stay in it. I'm blessed that way. I'm surrounded by people who support me when I'm misperceiving, and they shower me with my value when I forget it. You know what I'm saying? Whereas by myself, I just be telling myself more and more dark things. Right? So when you're most unhappy, don't isolate yourself. Then you're at the mercy of your own insane thinking. You don't have any way to get an alternative perspective.
Amen.
So you need to come to these classes when you're most upset, not when you think you're feeling good. Now you're crazy, so you're going to stay at home. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, you need to, behave when you come, but I know you're crazy, so, don't take us out. But come on in and join with us. That's when I need to hear the truth the most, is when I'm in a situation where I'm most upset. So the Course in Miracles says that you're going to go through a period of unsettling, and what you're going to find out that's so unsettling is, the truth is, you don't really know what's valuable and you don't really know what's not. All of a sudden you realize, you know what, I don't really know what love really is. I don't really know what freedom really is. I don't really know what really is valuable. You follow me? Then it goes on to tell us, well, all you've learned so far is that you don't want the valueless and that you do want the valuable. Is this right?
Yeah.
He says, now you're going to find out your own sorting out is meaningless in teaching you the difference between what's valuable and what's not. So you know why? Because you have an idea and belief in sacrifice. And and believing that sacrifice is love is so central to your way of thinking that you can't really even judge what's valuable. Like many people think love is sacrifice. They think you sacrifice for people you love. And actually, you never have to sacrifice for people you love. Because everything you do for them is never seen as a sacrifice. You want to do it.
Right.
When it's love, you want to do it. I've used the analogy before. The father that works 65 hours a week to take care of his family, he's not sacrificing if that's what he wants to do. It's sacrifice when you're doing what you don't want to do and you think you're losing because of what you're doing. That's sacrifice. So you've learned that you have willingness, right? We've learned that we have willingness. He says, but we don't see that, we don't even know what the willingness is for. Okay, God, I'm willing, but I don't know what I'm willing for. I'm willing, but what is it you want me to do? All of a sudden you realize you're saying, I'm willing, but you don't know what your willingness is for. So, now you must attain a state that may remain impossible to reach for a long, long time. That means you must learn to lay all judgment aside. It may take a long time to do that. So how do you lay judgment aside? The way you lay judgment aside is to ask only for what you want in every circumstance. At the point that I'm asking for what I want, I'm no longer judging because I've already decided. So at the point you've decided what you want, you are laying judgment aside because at that point, you're not evaluating and analyzing anymore. I want peace. So I'm not judging anymore. I want peace. I judged before I decided what I wanted to ask for. So at that point, he says, were not each step in this direction so heavily reinforced, this would be hard indeed. So getting to the point that you lay judgment aside, you're going to be helped to do that. And also, if you need to judge, if you got to judge, if you go crazy if you don't judge, if you blow a gasket if you don't judge, then I'm going to tell you a judgment that you can use to satisfy your judgment Jones. All right, this is what you do. You go, everything I see is love or a call for love. I'm going to judge this person as a call for love. I'm going to judge this situation as a call for love. If I'm going to judge, I'm going to say it's a call for God, it's a call for love.
Yes.
And I try to delineate things into different levels. You know, regular call for love, local call for love, national call for love. Some people are in the galactic calls for love. I have different love levels and needs. So I got to judge you. I go, you call for love. You know, somebody cut me off in traffic. Oh, you call for love. You're in a galactic call for God. Because it doesn't matter. I'm not saying that to practice the truth, you always have to do it smiling and happy. All you have to do is tell the truth about the situation with whatever feelings and emotions you may have at that moment. If I'm angry, I go, that's a call for love. If I'm depressed, that's my call for love. You know, if I'm happy, that's my call for love. So don't be worried about what emotions you're having. Just apply it to the truth. Because you want emotion behind your words and thoughts. Yeah, I could do a class where I never put any juice out or any energy out and just stand up here intellectually and talk to you. But you know, by me singing, dancing, moving, if that's how I feel, I don't come here to put on a show. Every time you see me do anything, that's because that's the way I feel in the moment. Right? Because it feels good to me. I realized if I was going to be happy, it was going to have to come from me. That I couldn't wait and sit around and wait for everybody else to decide to be happy in their lives. I've got to go ahead and have a good time. Right? Because if I have that energy is going to come back to me. It's going to come back to me from every direction. You throw a rock into a pond, the circle goes out in all directions and comes back to the rock. So every time you being loving, picture that circle like a stone in the pond. So when I do this, you all don't know how much love comes back to me all day long when I leave here. And it always comes back to you in the form you need it the most. So when you give, it doesn't necessarily come back to you the way that you gave it. It comes back, like, you know, if somebody's hungry and I feed them, then I turn around and I have a flat tire and I need somebody to tow me. I don't need them to bring me a hot dog. I need them to bring me a tire. You know what I'm saying? So you it reminds me, I was sitting in the movie one time and the person sitting next to me just bought me a hot dog while they were going to buy their own hot dog. You know, and I really wanted a hot dog. I just got to say, boy, I sure would like a hot dog. And then they brought me a hot dog. And then just said, you know, I just thought you'd like to have a hot dog. I said, I should have asked for a few more things. I knew it was going to be that easy. I should have upped my game a little bit, you know. But that's all right. I'm learning. You'll start to, I got on the elevator one day and the young lady just got on the elevator and she turned around and she hugged me and she held me till she got to the floor, just like that. And then she got off the elevator and left. You start to see things happen in the world that this book promises that your ego says could not possibly happen. It will happen if you do what it says. Now, if I wasn't open and if I hadn't learned that that's the way love operates, I would have thought maybe she was a psycho. You know what I'm saying? I'd be a bit afraid. Like, what are you touching me for? You know what I'm saying? So if you're afraid of love, when people are loving, you become more suspicious of them than anybody. If you want to see somebody's suspicion come up, try to be loving to people who don't trust nobody. Like there are people who will come to my class and be, what's his game? What's his con? What is he trying to do? What is he trying to get? Right. What you say?
I said that's how I was.
That's right. And you changed your mind, didn't you?
Yes.
Thank goodness. I know. If you hang around me long enough, you'll see that you're wrong whenever you think I'm not cool. I'm making a dreadful mistake if you think I'm not cool. You know, it is not true. If somebody don't trust me, it just means they're not trustworthy, not me. That's what it means to me. Oh, you don't trust me? Thank you for letting me know. I need to keep my distance because you're not seeing me correctly. So you potentially could be harmful to me. So I don't try to get people to trust me. I don't have to get the people to trust me who click, who recognize me. You know what I'm saying? And you all had those situations where you met people and just instantly you went instantly to trust.
Yeah.
And then until you had that burning sensation. Okay, now.
Goodbye, Earl.
I was channeling. I don't know where that came from. I was channeling. Don't lose your sense of humor because you're trying to be so spiritual. Please. Please. Let go of your perception of what spirituality must look like. Then you'll have a lot of fun on your spiritual path. All right. Last stage. The last stage is finally there is a what? Period of achievement. A period of achievement. I would like you to just say that out loud. A period of achievement. Does that sound good? Now turn around and look at somebody and go. A period of achievement. A period of achievement. Look at feel good. Achievement. Now, what happens at the period of achievement? In the period of achievement, your learning is consolidated. What does that mean to have your learning consolidated? It means now what was seen as merely shadows before becomes solid gains. It means that you have learned something that you can count on in all emergencies as well as tranquil times. I know I can depend on God. I know I can depend on the truth. I know I can change my mind. I know I can change my reality. I know I'm not alone. I know I'm a creator. I know I'm not a victim. And so I can count on that in every situation. And indeed, the tranquility is the result of actually practicing. In other words, when you have honest learning, consistency of thought, full transfer of what you've learned to every situation, then you're going to have tranquility. Interesting word. You don't hear that often. Tranquility. Tranquility. Where does tranquility come from? Honest learning, consistency of thought, full transfer. I consistently think the truth. I consistently think the truth, and I consistently fully transfer the truth to every situation in my life. He says, because that's the stage of real peace. What's the stage of real peace? When you are consistent in your learning, when you're consistent in your thought, and when you transfer it to everything and everybody around you. That's when he says you go into the stage of what? Real peace. Because when you have real peace, you are experiencing a reflection of the state of heaven. Heaven is total and perfect happiness. And when you have real peace, you're enjoying yourself. Real peace is enjoyment. So if you're enjoying something, you're at peace with it. Wow. Wow. So guess what? Who would go anywhere if peace of mind is already complete? In other words, if I'm really happy with you right here, right now, and everything is cool, and I'm having a great time, which I am, and I'm feeling good, then I'm happy. I'm not sitting here wishing I was somewhere else right now. Some of you may be sitting here wishing you were somewhere else right now. And somebody else, some of you are here and glad you're here. Okay? So Why would I want to leave you if where I am is peaceful? I love where I live. I love Denver. I love being here. I love the people who come to my classes. I love the people that's online. I love my friends. I love what I study. I love my path. I love where I live. So if I go somewhere else, it's just for me to give myself the experience of what would that be like? That might be fun. But I'm not running away from Denver in order to go somewhere else that I think is going to make me happy. Okay? So the Course says, who would go anywhere peace of mind is already complete? Who would seek to change tranquility for something more desirable? What could be more desirable than tranquility? Total peace, total fulfillment, and absolutely no fear or guilt. Are you open to that? Yes. Acknowledge yourself in hearing this much Holy Spirit. Get it up. Get it up. I'm going to do a really little cool recap right at the end right quick. Let's do the financial expression of appreciation right now. Thank you. I teach full time. That's all I do in the world. So I really appreciate if you find value in what I do and you don't mind actually showing that in a way that makes a real difference in my teaching ministry and my life. Thank you for sharing. I am sustained by the love of God. You are sustained by the love of God. I am sustained by the love of God. Thank you so much. And you are sustained by the love of God. But we are the channels. Don't confuse the channels with the source. I'm totally grateful for everything you share, but there's no pressure on you because I know I'm sustained by God. See the difference?
Yeah.
You know, you're never going to be free if you think you are taking care of yourself, and you're never going to be free if you think there's something outside of you taking care of yourself, be it a job or a person or anything else. So true freedom is in your relationship to God. That's the only place it's located. True. Which is awesome. I am available for one-on-one sessions called clarity sessions, and where I take all of this and apply it to your situation and give you another way to look at it. I've also been an astrologer and numerologist for over 30 years. And it's just another way the Spirit communicates to us and gives us information about the divine plan for our lives. You are not here just because somebody had sex and you showed up. You have a much greater purpose for being here. There is a divine plan for your life.
That's right.
And if you're not happy, it's because you're not living that plan yet. Which is awesome. Which is awesome. So, you have a ton of help that's waiting for you to avail yourself to it. See, she trusts me so much now, she can come up here and just touch the money bag. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm going shopping.
That's right now. Those of you online, thank you. If you like to also support my teaching ministry, just go to my website, earlpurdy.com, and you also can find out the services that I offer, including mentoring and coaching. Take advantage of my 35 years of doing this. You don't have an original problem. You don't have one I haven't heard before. You don't have one the Spirit hasn't heard before. You're not that special. Okay? You're not going to come up with anything that nobody else before you has not dealt with. So why don't you not invent the wheel and save yourself some time by letting it be revealed to you right now. So go to my website, and I'd be happy to do that. Or if not me, go somewhere. Go beyond your own little personal wisdom.
Yes.
So that you can, because it's your way of thinking that's got you in the situation you're trying to get out of. So you really need to be willing to open yourself up to another way of thinking. Absolutely. It's not really complicated. Okay, what's the first stage? I feel so successful as a teacher. I feel so successful and good. I got my point across. Duh, I don't even know where I'm at. What you talking about? The first stage is undoing. Second stage is sorting out. Third stage, fourth stage, fifth stage, sixth stage, achievement. Are you responsible?
Yeah.
Are you responsible?
Yes.
That don't mean I'm out of blame. Are you responsible?
Yes. I'm responsible for what I see.
What's the stages? First stage is
Undoing.
first stage is
Undoing.
second stage is
Sorting out.
third stage is
Relinquishment.
fourth stage is fifth stage is sixth stage is Can we get some funk in this room? What I experience, I choose the feeling that I experience, and everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for it. Oh my God, I ask for it. What's the first stage?
Undoing.
What's the second stage?
Sorting out.
What's the second stage?
Sorting out.
What's the third stage? What's the fourth stage?
Settling down.
And what's the fifth stage?
Unsettling.
Funk. Tell yourself, I am entitled to miracles. I am entitled to miracles. Who are praying for themselves? I am entitled to miracles. And guess what? And everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for it. I ask for it. Oh yeah. What's the first stage?
Undoing.
What's the second stage?
Sorting out.
What's the third stage? What's the fourth stage?
Settling down.
Settling down.
What's the fifth stage?
Unsettling.
And what's the sixth stage?
Achievement.
Funk it out. I would achieve, and I decide upon the goal that I would achieve, and I decide upon the goal that I would achieve, and everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for it. What? I ask. Now let's ask. Let's go. I ask for wealth. Oh, and I ask for him. Oh, and I ask for fun. Even when I'm on the run. Big miracles, everything that seems to happen to me. I say everything that seems to happen to me. What's the first stage?
Undoing.
What's the second stage?
Sorting out.
What's the third stage?
Relinquishment.
What's the fourth stage?
Settling down.
What's the fifth stage?
Unsettling.
What's the sixth stage? I love you. Thank you for coming out today. Holy Spirit, give to you. Give me some. 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 Don't forget, Tuesday night, 7 o'clock online, Mountain Standard Time. I do a web mastery on Facebook Live. Thursday nights, I do an incredible class called Course of Love. At 7 o'clock Mountain Time, it's strictly online. The Thursday class, Tuesday class you can come to. And every Sunday, 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, I'm doing the Course in Miracles. So no matter where you are, you can tune in to be reminded. Because you are entitled to miracles.
We're daylight savings time.
We in daylight in mountains, daylight time. Okay. Mountain day. Thank you so much. So I want some hugs before y'all get out of here. I love you. Thanks for coming. Go to my website to sign up for my contact list because I will be doing more workshops and spontaneous classes online and in person, and you want to know how to do that. All right. So there's some cool people in here. Greet them before you leave.